Welcome to Burn Shit, my friend. It's a podcast where we connect entrepreneurs to professionals, and you being an entrepreneur or you being a professional, we're trying to connect you to the future entrepreneurs and help pass
Yeah.
along some information that you've learned that could help them go all in on their business. And without further ado, I'll let you introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, my name is James Taylor. I've been in the fire protection industry for roughly 15 years. I've worked my way up through that industry from running a truck as a tech all the way up to where I'm a GM now. I run operations for different companies and made it to this point right now. Also started a consulting company, IQT Solutions, basically just consulting for investment groups that are coming into the fire protection industry that want to inquire about acquisitions.
Right. Okay. Let's kind of give us that like backstory. 15 years.
Yeah.
What led you to where you are now?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Chicago. I came down here 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, and chasing a girl, all that story. Everybody knows that story. So did that, and then I just happened to be a few years into working. I wasn't really sure exactly. I was young, so I just didn't really exactly establish exactly what I wanted to do. So I tried a bunch of different stuff. I was working for Waste Management. I was painting houses. I was doing this and that. Just doing a little bit of everything just to generate some revenue. And so anyway, I was mowing my lawn one day, and my neighbor came over and was like, "Hey, man, you know anything about fire protection?" I was like, "No, I don't know anything about it, man. I have no idea." He's like, "You want a job?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll check it out."
Yeah.
So I interviewed. I had like 3 or 4 interviews with Cintas, and that's kind of where I got my foot in the door. My neighbor ended up being he was the regional sales manager for Cintas in the Southeast, so it was kind of a luck thing.
Yeah, luck of the
just
draw.
kinda
Yeah.
worked out, and kind of a funny thing and
So I'll let
situation.
you know. It's better than
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, sometimes, yeah, for sure. But that kind of worked out. So I started there as a technician / service manager. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing, so I learned basically just trying to run out on jobs as a technician, running around every day, getting a schedule, managing a couple crews. I was kind of like a lead tech basically. Right. I had a little bit of management skills before I got that job, so they kind of put me in as a lead just to kind of manage stuff. They were having problems with jobs being completed correctly and
Right.
things. So, and I didn't know anything, so I was trying to learn from everybody around me. I try to pull from resources of what I know.
Right.
And it's a very heavy code-based industry. We follow standards and laws, bylaws, things like that. Stuff that's written by lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
If you try to read it, it's good sleeping material. It's about what it's good for. But they started there at Cintas, was there for about 5 or 6 years, really learned the corporate side of it. Had really good experiences there. Didn't necessarily want to leave. I got kind of to the point where after 5 years, I really knew what I was doing, like code-wise and running the business.
Right.
So they started bringing in management that didn't and was trying to like force us to do things that just I wasn't cool with. So, people that were working at, Coca-Cola Enterprise, didn't work in fire, and they were trying to push them even from their other branches, like their uniform branch, stuff like that. We're trying to make them lead fire, and we're trying to tell them like, hey man, you can't just do that. You have to, there's a process here for a reason. There's a code you have to follow, things have to be done. Manufacturers, want you to do things a certain way.
It's very regulated industry.
Yeah, it's very, very regulated. Yeah. And if you get hung up on it, it's your name. It's not just the company, it's your name. Yeah, it's your name on it. It's not just somebody else's, because I'm one I started getting into like the engineering side of it, doing drawings, understanding different calculations for how things work in the fire industry at that point. So I eventually went aboard and went to a family-owned company that I worked with a guy at Cintas, brought me over there, and I worked there for about several years. And I learned a lot from like the base ground up, but I was a service manager.
Okay.
So I started. They didn't really have a fire extinguisher division at that time, and so I went in and they were only making probably $30,000-$40,000 a year in that division. And by the time I left, it was about a $700,000 division. We really started pumping it up. And we started another company within a company to do the testing. And it was a lot of, that was the operation side I ran. I had about 9 or 10 people at this operation business called Georgia Cylinder. And they basically got absorbed, but eventually. But they tested and hydrostatically tested cylinders, DOT cylinders, things like that. Like your CO2 for, running soda pop machines, things like that, to oxygen tanks for medical, for all kinds of different things, and then fire extinguishers as well. And so we had a processing center, and then we basically had kind of a 2-thing going there on top of the fire side. That's awesome. Doing out there in the field.
So out of all of those things, kind of what was your favorite, out of all the ones you've done?
I think
not even what you were best at, just what mentally was your favorite thing to do out of all those.
I'm a real big I like building stuff from the ground up kind of thing, or if something's in shambles, I like to come in and kind of save the day, I guess. I guess you're like one of those kind of guys, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, I'm really good at it, so I'm not cocky, just confident. You know what I mean? It's just all it is. I've done it, a few times now, and I'm kind of like, well, I'm kind of okay at this, so why don't I just try to be a little better and understand what I'm trying to do? So, so that's kind of what I did, for these companies and the reason they brought me in. So I kind of, whenever I interviewed or looked for new places to go, that was always, I'm always looking for what exactly do you need? What do you exactly do? What's the challenge that you have? Why are you calling me? Why am I sitting in this chair? You're sitting here talking to me for some reason. You brought me in here. I didn't ask you. You asked me, and that's usually the situation. Right. And it's usually kind of come save the day kind of thing, or figure out how to increase that side of the business, the suppression side of the business. How do we do that? And I have a track record of doing really well at it. So I left that smaller company, went to another company with the same issue. The owner was on his way out. The suppression side was kind of going in shambles. They needed somebody to lead it again. They didn't have anybody, so they brought me in to kind of come in. Investment group brought me in. That's when the investment group stuff started, and this was several years ago when this all happened. So brought me in, kind of take over the branch and make sure things were profitable. And we had that thing running like a weld machine within 2 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had it going pretty good. We're about $10 to $15 million depending on the year, project-wise and everything. But we were making really good money. Like EBITDA was high, gross margins were high, things like that. And they ended up selling it to Summit Fire, and basically that's a big corporation. They got big time money. It's billions, billions of dollars.
They got that Silicon Valley money.
Yeah, man. Exactly. So they bought that, and then so they kind of started changing the framework of the business and how they were trying to do things. And it was basically an investment group. They're basically an investment group. That's what they are. And so and I just kind of saw my opportunities starting to get slimmer and slimmer to what I like to do, right? I like to come in chaos. I was driving chaos. So I'm like, all right, so how am I going to do this? There's no chaos here, so I'm going to get bored. For sure. So I'm just going to be doing this thing every day. Like, I don't know, man. I kind of want
problem solver.
Yeah, I want to be able to figure it out.
That's awesome.
So I started kind of listening to a few. I've always getting job offers all the time, but I never listen, really. I'm not really a big hopper. I don't hop around a lot. And it's usually, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, it's always something I'm already doing. And I don't need to jump ship.
Greener.
I don't need to jump ship to listen to someone else's BS
bullshit,
or drama. You know what I mean?
Right.
Usually I try to pick and choose my battles with that.
So,
you know what I mean? So
at this point in time, you probably got a good idea of when you're going to know that it's going to be some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And stepping into this this situation that I'm in now, my first interview, I even called it out to the CFO and the CEO are the ones that interviewed me, and I said, hey man, I'm not going to walk into some crap show, you know what I mean, and try to save a drowning thing if it's just not realistic for me to do that, and you want me to be the fall guy. I'm just not going to do that. Let me look at it. What's your situation? I really need to see the details of your situation and find out. And once I figured out who the company was that they bought and how previous ownership had left, and things have kind of just been hanging in the wind with people that were just kind of feeling, ass in seats, basically. They weren't really doing anything.
Exactly.
Once I realized that, and it's in fire protection, it's a small circle, man. Like around Atlanta, I've been around here long enough, doing this long enough. I know a lot of people. So I can make a phone call literally if someone says, hey, these people want to hire you. I can call somebody and say, hey, man, who the hell are these people? Are they any good? They wear some shit or what? That kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
So I can sit there and talk to them about it, and they'll say, oh, no, you don't want to go there, man.
Right.
They're going to, they'll stab you in the back as soon as they can. You know what I mean? They'll do the best to your face and stab you right away. And there's a lot of that in fire, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think that's just business
Probably
in general.
every business. I feel like that's it.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like you run into that a lot, but
it's the difference of super successful businesses and one that's just they're
exactly.
barely making it all the time.
And I could see right away what the situation was, and just coming from the 2 or 3 situations I was in before, I knew exactly what needed to happen.
Right.
So as soon as that moment happened, I knew, okay, I got these guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get paid.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna figure this out. So I knew right away, like, okay, this is my deal. So I negotiated what I wanted and everything, and met with the investment group and all the investors and the corporate side, and I said, if you're gonna bring me in to do this is the stepping stone. I will start in Atlanta, and I will move my way through, and I will get every location successful for you.
That's awesome.
And I'll work on a regional basis. It's like I have kids. The first thing that I deal with is kid stuff every day. So it's not.
Got to go to school.
So
still taking one of them to school. Probably.
And I made it very clear. I always make it very clear. I'm like, hey, it's my kids first. No, this is a job, man.
Yeah.
This is I can get a job anywhere. There's a lot of people hiring. I'm pretty valuable to a lot of people. Let's just keep it at that.
Right.
So anything that has to do with my kids, there's no questions. I just go take care of it, and I'll always work. I'll work weekends, whatever I got to do. But when it comes to my kids, it's
first.
like, hands off.
That's a good way to be, though.
I have to be that way, because I make it clear, because a lot of people try to be in that gray area with their family and professionalism and stuff and work, and I'm like, there is no gray area for me.
No.
It's I work and then I have my family.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
There's a line.
That's awesome.
It's not a gray area. So
yeah, that's my dad works a ton, always has since I've been a kid, probably 60, 80 hours a week. He's in sales, he always has been.
Man.
He's money hungry, so
if
he sees those numbers and he's like, I got to get at this.
Man. He's a hunter, man. He's a hunter.
Exactly, yeah. Which I appreciate it now because I'm in the sales world, so I very much do appreciate it. So.
Yeah,
awesome.
I respect the grind.
And job flexibility like that, to where you've told them up front, that's huge. You know what I mean? To where you get that time.
Exactly.
Like
the
awesome.
flexibility with it. I mean, even the guy that owns the investment group started Honeywell. He's one of the original guys of Honeywell. If you probably heard that name thrown around, everybody's heard that name. So he's one of the original guys. So he's basically a billionaire.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've seen it on top of a bunch of pieces of paper.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So his sons actually run the investment group. So he's basically funding the investment group.
So they went to school for some type of marketing or
absolutely
all this, graphs, spreadsheets, all their things that they're doing for all that stuff.
Both of them real sharp guys.
Awesome.
All the team's really good. I mean, I work with them, one-on-ones. I had John he's the guy I work with. He's taken over as operations CEO and all that stuff.
That's awesome, yeah.
And so he's the one running the investment group, and he's running as visiting the branches, making sure FSP is successful. They got several companies, but right now FSP's
their main
focus
right now. Yeah, because it is an industry that's growing and everybody's building stuff right now.
Yeah,
so let's get in there and get it all done.
There's a lot of work.
$5 million
we're fortunate, man.
Really
we're in the Atlanta area. Atlanta area is very lucrative. It's a very lucrative area for any kind of building, construction, or remodels is a real big. That's where we make a lot of money. Is remodels. Someone comes into a suite and wants to make it their own
because it's constant turnover.
Yeah, it's just constantly, and then the next tenant, they always want to make it their own. They have the money up front to make it their own, but then they can't maintain it. So you just got to keep that relationship
every time
with those companies.
But what would you say that you did at the beginning? What did you do really bad? What would you go back and be like, dang, this is what I needed to work on when I first started?
Yeah, I think on the front end, I assumed a lot. And assuming can really, really get you in a lot of trouble. It makes an ass out of you and me, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to really step back. I was very high strung. I got a real bad temper, and I had to really control that.
Can't be the competitiveness.
It just comes out. Goes and still happens, but it's tame compared to what it used to be. But they. over time, I have really had to learn a lot of patience. I didn't have that early on, and just kind of step back, take the situation for what it is, understand where you are right now, whatever challenge it is. It doesn't really, the backstory doesn't necessarily matter too much as long as you get the facts, really.
Right.
It's and all of a sudden, when that backstory is already told one time, you don't need to hear it anymore. You need to figure out where you're at right now, and then go on and move on and get better. That was my hardest part to understand. I was always caught up in the backstory, and at the moment, I wouldn't try to fix it in the moment more things.
Right.
So it was just because what you do in the moment was always going to determine your past, and it's always going to determine your future. People don't realize that. It takes a lot of time and experience to get that to get to that
a lot
point.
of messing up and a lot
yeah.
of trial and error to get there. You know?
It's okay to screw up. We're all human, man. We're going to
sure.
screw up. But
For
the thing is how do you react to that?
Absolutely.
It's like if you, whether that's professionally or with your family or whatever it is, or your spouse or whatever, you're always going to mess up. None of us are perfect. There's only one thing that's perfect, and I don't want to get into all that. But as a human, we're always going to make mistakes, and how we react. I've always read how we react to that, to people that work for me, or people that were beside me that are friends.
Right.
So disposal friends. I don't have a lot of friends. There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
I have a very small circle. I have a very small circle, and I've kept it that way
Can't
for
get burned if you
many,
got a
many
small
years.
one.
Yeah, I've always kept it that way for many years. But the things I did really terrible, just being young, being inexperienced, and just getting caught up in the backstory and assuming a lot of things.
Absolutely.
That really got me in a lot of trouble at first. Not understanding that, and just understanding the business. Like I assumed I understood until I started really digging into like the financial side, the business side. So I went back to business school. I got two degrees. I got a degree in business administration, and then I got a master's degree in business administration.
Awesome.
So, and I did that in my 40s, which was insane because I had 2 kids and they were small at the time.
And it's not that easy, man.
Oh my
I
God,
just got
it was
done
a
with it.
grind.
So I graduated in May. So
Did you?
I
Yeah,
just-
congratulations. It's a
appreciate it.
huge deal, man. It's really big. People are like, "Oh, what's a college education really worth?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends. It depends on what you're doing.
It depends
on what you're doing. Yeah,
1000%.
like there
'Cause
are
there's-
trades. I respect the trades. My dad was a tradesman. Never had a college education. Had his own business. Came up through the trade. Invented his own product. Had a patent. Like all this stuff. Crazy. Made really good money out of
Yeah.
it. Did the business stuff. And really, I saw that, and that was an inspiration for me. Maybe that's why I like the chaos and the building and seeing how it can be successful.
Apple don't fall too far from the tree usually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
exactly.
That is very interesting, like how you were saying that, what you weren't great at the beginning, because that's, that translates very well as you being an ex-athlete too. You probably very well noticed going back to your passion, like, man, that's probably why I wasn't successful at that time, is because I was dwelling on something that happened a week ago that I was still letting eat me up.
Exactly.
And it determined what I had going on instead of just giving it the 24-hour rule, getting rid of it and taking it off, and going.
Baseball, you know how baseball you played, so the game, it's so mental. It's crazy how mental it is. If you have a few tools you can rely on in the game, then it all comes down to the mental side. That's it.
Yes.
And if you can't straighten the mental side of the game out, man, it's
just tough. You can't win.
It's humbling.
You
Very
can't.
humbling. It's a very
Oh, yeah.
humbling sport. It's like golf. Golf is very humbling.
I think golf's harder than baseball.
I think so, too,
Now
honestly.
that I've migrated to that's my main sport now, I'm like, when am I gonna break 80?
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I played golf before I had kids. I had a job where it was pretty flexible, and I would play 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I got pretty good.
Oh yeah.
3 days a week, 3-4 days a week, and I was jamming out pretty good. And then I had kids, and then I realized I wasn't able to play as much, right?
Yeah.
So then I get horrible. So then I didn't want to play anymore because I'm like, I know what I can do, but I'm not doing it. So
For
I was just
sure.
like, just
For sure.
such a pain.
That's how it
in the ass.
went. So once I graduated, I was working for Perfect Game for
Okay.
riding around doing their ATD. I was just supervising fields, making sure the umpires weren't going crazy.
Yeah,
All the high
okay.
schoolers that work the iPads aren't messing up too bad. But I would play golf every day when I get off work. Get off at
nice.
2 every day. So I'd be out there until 9 o'clock at
Yeah.
night playing. So
Yeah,
it'd be
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I got
Yeah.
pretty good. And then I started working here. And beginning of August, don't play golf
Yeah.
nearly enough anymore.
Yeah. Now you
Go
go
out,
play.
go
you're
out there
like,
and play every other weekend, Go out
Yeah.
there and I'm like, God, dude.
yeah, like
three
why? I
double,
would have
three
made this
double,
shot all the time.
yeah,
Yeah,
three
you're
double bogeys in a row. Like, God almighty. I'm going to shoot 100 on the front nine.
Exactly.
But no, and then,
Yeah.
sports are really good to relate to, especially I've always heard that sports were great to relate to, but I didn't get in the real world. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
at that point in time. But now that I've been here doing what I've been doing for the past 6 months, thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's also
Yeah.
everything that was kind of taught and said to you for a long time.
Yeah.
When it starts coming to fruition right in front
Yeah.
of your eyes, you're like, God,
Yeah.
these people are right. I should have listened even faster. God
Definitely.
Almighty, I should have got my head out of my
Definitely, yeah, man. There's a lot to sport. I learned a lot in from the baseball side, because it's a lot of failure, man. Baseball's a lot of failure. You know, there's a lot of failure in baseball.
Fell 7 out of 10 times.
That's right, man. And you got to be strong enough to dig yourself out. And I use that a lot, even now. Still, I still think about that. About, you know, damn, if I just would have done. You know, I could have hit 400. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I ain't even a year out, so I think about it. I
call
really
it
wasn't
time,
thinking
yeah.
about it, so I coach too as well. Now
Yeah, I did
outside,
that when I first got out. I did lessons and I coached 14-year-old travel ball for a little while. I couldn't do the parent thing, man. I got to the point where
little Johnny can't
he's the
catch.
next-
Little Johnny's picking his nose at shortstop. Why do you think he's not?
He's the
playing
next
anymore?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Andrew Jones, whatever you want to call him, anybody. You know, Acuna. I'm like, no, he's not.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the time you have for him playing.
Because
That's
he
what I
probably won't
explained.
play
it.
in a couple years.
Exactly. Majority of them don't. I got a funny story about that.
It's
so,
like-
the one
It's like
kid.
3% of us, 2% of us played
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah, think about that. I mean, people don't even realize. It's
Actually,
like,
I think it's less than 2%.
yeah, absolutely. It's probably less than 1%. It's probably
Yeah.
like a 0.65. I think I actually looked into it because I was like, who plays, you know, college baseball? Not
Yeah.
even pro.
Yeah.
Not even pro. Not
Yeah.
even minor leagues.
Yeah.
Just college baseball.
Yeah. It's like,
you know, at a
it's in that
very
range,
competitive level, it's less than like 1%.
that's insane.
It's insane,
which
man.
is insane. I feel blessed. I got to do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta do it.
yeah.
And
A
then
lot of people
even
think
better
about
though.
it.
The year after I'm gone, my school went D1.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Crazy.
I know, right?
You know,
But it's crazy that, you know, you look back on it, and it's funny how I see a lot of things translate in the real world with, you know, like what you said about the talking. But there's a lot of like you said, like I was talking about the failure side of it. You know, there's a lot of life. You fail a lot in life, and you don't realize it. But it's just how you pick yourself up and keep going. And that translated with baseball with me all the time. And you know, a lot of kids, a lot of people that play, and parents, they can't handle that. They think that their kid should be the next Mickey Mantle, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, no, man. But anyway, funny story about
Just
any
look back at your athletic history, and then you tell me how it went for you.
Yeah,
And,
exactly, man. Yeah, I mean, all the guys I played with some really talented guys. You know, none of them went pro.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them went pro. You
For
know,
sure.
I mean, it's very, very small percentage of people even get the shot to even to get a shot.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really.
I was
there.
very fortunate in my career. I just chose not to do the right things off the field
Yeah.
to got me to where I was at playing.
Yeah.
Which I had a
yeah.
great time. I was, I threw a ton of 80 appearances there in 3 years I was there, and then my other 2 in junior college.
Yeah.
But whenever I was in high school, I could have done the right thing, and I would have been playing, where I wanted to, because all my friends that I played travel ball with, I played for the East Cobb Astros here.
Okay. Yeah.
So I big name travel team. Essentially when we were there, we won like 3 or 4 national championships in a row.
Oh,
from
nice,
the time I was
man.
14 to 17.
Yeah, it spoils you, man. And you go somewhere else, and you're
And
kinda
then half my team, I got 3 first-round guys that went in the top 15 picks. And then you go with your other guys that are getting selected all through, and you're like, man, what happened to me? Why am I in junior college right now? What happened to me?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, well, you didn't like school part of it. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you figure those things out. You're like, well, school does relate to all these things. Each one of the things that you have on your plate, if say you have responsibility, everything adds up to you being successful at the end goal.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't do one thing right, it's going to be in the back of your mind. If you're a driven person, I feel like it's going to be in the back of your mind, like, damn, I could have done that a little better. Damn, I could have done this that specific way, that I could have twitched this to do that, and it's affecting you here.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
that little thing could be like, hey, I wasn't in the weight room 3 days this week.
Yeah.
I was only in there once,
Oh, I know, man.
That stuff eats you
I
up.
partied really hard in college, and like when I was younger, in high school and college, and even when I got out, I partied a lot. I was in Chicago, man. I was in Chicago.
Nothing wrong with
It's
that.
like Chicago was my playground, and there was something to do every night.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I was talking about, I started pitching my senior year, I had like 4 or 5 days off. So I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna go have some fun. It was just
first day
and it
after
was
you
crazy.
pitch, getting blasted.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a pitcher in college too.
Yeah,
so very much
okay.
so, yeah.
You know how it was. So
Absolutely.
it's very, it was a lot. It got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
More than anything else. But
for sure.
And that's one thing I had to learn too, is just
growing up a little
grow up a little bit and just kind of face the fact that you gotta get yourself out of those situations.
I'm still in my growing pain stage.
Yeah, exactly, man. And you will be. You just got to find your way. It's
Yeah.
just not. It's not. There's not a right or wrong. It's just it's a journey, man. You just got to take it as it comes and you'll figure it out.
Got you. And then what do you got last? Well, I got 2 questions for you. But what did you do really well when you first got into all this? What was the thing that you could lean on all the time?
Yeah, one thing I could always lean on is my my ability to always show up.
Yeah.
And I was always there, no matter what was going on, and I was able to work really, really hard, no matter what I had. If I understood, I had to read, a book to understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
I would read the book over and over and over and over, make notes, go through it, because I really wanted to know, because this industry really kind of sparked it for me, I guess.
Okay.
Because like I said, I've been through a bunch of jobs, went some advertising stuff, worked for Waste Management, did a few things that I was just kind of like, I don't know if I really want to do all that, you know. And then once I found this, I was like, man, this is a good niche between, I like the safety side of it, like the saving lives kind of thing.
Right.
Because it saves lives.
Absolutely.
It definitely does. And the regulatory side of it, where it's very, it's very regulated. There's there's laws and stuff you got to follow to make sure that it works, right? So, and it's just all that together with business and with, engineering and stuff. It's just that whole mix of everything just really, really got insightful for me. And so I really dug in deep. And that's one thing I could always fall back on, is like, no one's going to outwork me. That's how I always put my mindset. It's like the same thing with baseball. I was the same way in baseball. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I could party 6 days a week, but I would always show up and I would outwork everybody there. I guarantee it. Or I'd outrun everybody or whatever it was.
Yep.
And I was always like that, and
every time.
So, and I just carried that, and I carry that in my personal life too. It's just I work out constantly, 3-4 days a week. I competitive mountain bike. I've been doing that for 20 years. I've competitively trail race. Been doing that for 15 years.
That's awesome. That's
so it's just all that in my background that I'm going to outwork you. No matter what it is, I'm just going to keep going.
That's awesome.
Until my body just completely falls
apart. A lot of people will talk that talk. They don't walk it though.
Exactly, and that's one thing that. Actions, I feel like a lot of actions that I took
way louder than the words that you can ever speak.
In my professional side, I always took the actions to make sure that I was going to do what I said.
Yeah.
And and that translated with my family, with my kids. I was always going to be like, hey, if I tell you something,
I'm gonna do it.
It's stone, and I'm gonna do that. And I always made sure that I did. You're never perfect, like I said. Perfection's unattainable. Progress is the goal. So I always say, hey,
I'll use that. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one. But it's always true. It's you can't. Everybody's gonna fail, and it's okay. As long as you're progressing to do better the next time, or you're trying to do a valiant effort to fix whatever's broken. Yeah. And I've always had the actions. I would never say anything, even when. Outside of like my past life of things that I did, I know what I did. I know what I did wrong. I did some horrible stuff to people back in the day.
We're conscious people.
Exactly. We got free will, man. Things happen.
Exactly.
So I try to take that, learn from it, use that to pass it on to my children or people that I know that are coming up in the industry. Yeah. And I try to make sure, like, hey, man, I don't give a shit what you say. As long as you show up, as long as I watch you and I can see you doing things, and it's conscious, diligent effort, I'm going to support you. I'm going to get your back. I have a monthly meeting with my technicians. All 30 employees come in every month. I just started this 6 months ago. They've never done it before as a company for 10 years. And I bring them in every month. And I tell them all the time, I was like, guys, I will go to bat for you. But if you take the bat out of my hand, I can't bat.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
I can't do anything for you.
I got to put you on the bench at that point in time.
So you got to do the right thing. If I can get facts and I see action from you, I'll back you up 100%. I'll do anything I can to back you up. But if you deviate from that, I can't help you, man. And I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not going to. I hold you accountable for what you're responsible for. And that's
probably makes them all do a lot better off.
Holding people accountable.
They know whenever you know your leader's got somebody that's going to have your back.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
Absolutely.
Versus them just sitting down and be like telling you that the first time they shake your hand, and the next thing you know you're on a job and haven't seen them in 6 months.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just the small things too, man.
It's like the Tom Brady rule.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like the small things. I learned over the years. If you do little small things, it's not necessarily the money that's the biggest thing. As long as you get that settled in the beginning, everything else is different. So now what do you want? You want support. So you want my face around. You want support for what you're doing. Okay, so how do I support that? I buy you the tools, I get you the training, I buy you the equipment, I get you coats, I get you hats when it's cold.
Yep.
You know, those kind of things.
1000%.
Those little tiny things go a long
Yeah,
way. You
yeah.
know, and I've done that here, and it makes a big difference. I did it like 2 other places I was at too. And once you walk in with boxes full of coats and hats and
makes an insane
boots,
difference.
and everybody's like, I do anniversary for boots for everybody. This anniversary comes up every month.
That's awesome.
I call them out. I get their boots before the month comes. I pass them out in the meeting. Like, here you go, man. Congratulations. Thank
And
you
they're
for
all
being
smiling
here.
ear to ear.
Dude, it's crazy. $300 pair of boots.
Yeah.
I mean, what's $300 if you can get that guy to produce one?
Yeah, right. Because
cares?
they, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, "Damn, I got to buy a pair of 300 boots here soon."
Yeah,
$300
exactly.
pair of boots here soon. They're
Yeah,
like,
they wear that
and
stuff
then they start
out.
stressing about that. You know,
Yeah, man.
You don't need them stressing about that. That's something that you can very, very well take care of because they're
Absolutely.
taking care of you.
Absolutely.
Everything that your job doesn't operate without that.
Yeah,
You know?
and then you need a conscious effort of like a lot. I see this happen a lot with a lot of leadership roles or title roles, I guess you could say,
Right.
is they kind of assume that they're right
Okay.
all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and see that assume thing again, you know, and like everybody assumes that I'm right,
Yeah.
and that's another thing I tell everybody.
They
It's
take
like,
your ego
hey
out of
man,
it.
I don't know this. All right, you're the expert. That's why I have you here.
Yeah,
You know, it's
right,
like
yeah.
you're the guy I hired, that, or I moved you to this position
Yeah.
because I know you know some
Yeah,
shit about this.
yeah, you know way
so
more than
you
I
need
do
to
about
tell
it.
me what is right and what is wrong. I'm
Right.
not going to sit here and research. I don't get
Yeah.
time for all that.
Yeah.
That's why I hired you guys.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's why I do that a lot because like everybody's like thinks like, okay, this guy knows everything. Like, no. Back up, man. I don't know
I know how to
everything.
fix things.
Yeah, I know how to fix stuff, and you're going to help me fix it because you know what the hell you're talking about. So I get people, you get people communicating. A lot of times my day, man, is really just taking this person's hand and tell them to talk to this person, and just that's connection.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you get this he said, she said bullshit, and I'm always like, no, I don't play the games. I don't play drama.
Yeah.
I don't have spouses working for me. That kind of stuff. I don't do any of that shit.
Yeah,
man.
'cause
So
that
I'm
does
like,
create
it
turmoil.
creates a lot of turmoil. So I'm always like, here, man, talk to this, figure out what you got to figure out. I'll, put me in the mix, let me
Yeah.
know what's going on, and let me know the result.
Yeah.
I don't need to be going through every single little moment of the sentence or what's happening step by step. So it's a lot of that. That's a lot of what I do. It's a lot of characters, a lot of personalities. Everybody's different. Everybody gets managed a little differently. Some are
sure.
easier, some are harder.
Right.
But you got to adapt to that. And,
Yeah.
and that's the hardest. That's probably the hardest part is dealing with people a lot on that side of it.
Yeah,
But,
because you never know. Everybody's personality is different. There's
Yeah,
billions. There's billion of us, so we got a billion different
Yeah,
personalities.
exactly. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No one of us is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And then ask you last question is going to be, do you know where the illusion burn the ship came from?
No.
So, a Central American conquistador, Hernan Cortez, lands in Central America. Him and his armada of ships, could have been 3 ships. I would assume an armada now would be like 50 ships,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
But back
Right.
then, there's no telling. Probably, 3 to 20 ships he's got with him. Whenever they landed in Central America, he made them disassemble all their ships and burn everything. Just because once they landed on land, yeah, exactly. We're gonna stay here. We're gonna die trying. We're gonna make it work or not.
Yeah.
So what's it been like to burn the ship?
So I feel like
Sounds like you've done it a couple times.
A little bit of with the like walking into chaos, not knowing exactly all the details, and still having the fruition to take it on
Right.
and try to correct what's happening and help out. Yeah. I look at it as, like I said before, I kind of thrive in chaos in like my personal life and professional life. I've always it used to be really bad with like the drama and things like that, and I was kind of like, why am I wasting my time with this? My chaos is like I'm sore from mountain biking 30 miles yesterday. How do I deal with that? How do I get up in the morning and work out and then get to work and then deal with my day? That's my chaos now.
Yeah.
Or dealing with something with my kids, things like that, trying to fix something that's going on.
Right.
Or fixing this business, like not necessarily fixing it, but just getting it organized, getting it restructured. That's kind of my burn the ship, I would say. If this company I decided to come on with and said, hey, I'm gonna take this on, and I'm not going back. So there's an open invitation for me to go back where I was, but I don't burn bridges.
Right.
So I have, this is what I'm dedicated to, and this is what I've committed to, and I made it very, very clear that I'm here until you tell me that I'm not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the fruition of death or whatever that might be in that scenario. But that's definitely my burn the ship right now. With my private company, IQT Solutions, I just started. It took me a lot to get to the point of even my success is even just opening it.
Yeah.
Just starting the business, starting the process, getting the business.
Described differently.
Exactly. Some people say, "Oh, my first million is 6." No, it's not that, man. It's not even really the
me
money.
making $10,000 this year could be my personal.
Yeah,
success,
exactly.
You know
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
It
Everybody's
depends
on
on
context.
what it is to you.
It's
Exactly.
context. Yeah,
Exactly.
everybody has their own context to it, and so it took me a really long time. I've always had the idea for a really long time, but I just never really introduced it. I always felt like it really wasn't the right time, and plus I didn't want my ex-wife to get it. So that's another thing.
That's massive.
So and then
Eric
once,
Spoelstra, if you haven't seen that one yet.
yeah, and my fiance played a big part in me trying to start this thing. She had the confidence in me to do it, so it was like, oh shit. So then a mind blow, mind suck. The whole thing's like blowing my mind with it, but it's been really good. So just getting to that point.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Got a lot of great ideas. She's got some great ideas to work with, so I was like pulled the trigger. So that was my success with it. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
We'll see where it goes. We wish you luck
Yeah.
on that adventure. We'll be here for you. We are we have a ton of connections
awesome.
in the world. We do merchant services, so we're everybody that takes credit cards or ACH, we can do their business.
Yeah, so that's something I could talk to you about.
So we're 1,000% into
the
all
IQT side. I don't have that set up or anything. It's because it's so new. I'm taking my time with it. I'm actually in the middle of making a website right now.
Yeah,
and it's just,
we got web developers, everything you need. We got everything that could possibly be done. We can definitely help you take care of it and put you in the right connection that we trust.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's hard to find. Sometimes.
Exactly. And we're very face to face and network oriented.
Cool.
So, awesome. And tell people where to find you, and then then we'll burn the ship. We're good.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate everything. Absolutely. And just able to talk like this. I think at this stage of my life, I have a lot of experience with stuff, and I like to share it with the different people, like people that aren't in this industry, kind of understand this industry. I've done some radio podcasts before with some other stations and things like that, and just kind of represented the industry, not necessarily company. It was more the industry thing than anything else, and that it's really, really important. It saves lives, and you have to have it, kind of thing. Just pay attention to what to it in the industry, and out there, just as a general public thing. It's always good to know where the fire extinguishers are and exits.
Yeah. So where did the people find you?
So I am on my normal job, FSP, fire safety protection. I am there. The way to contact me or anything like that on that side is james.taylor at fire-sp.com. On that side, phone number is the same for both businesses right now, 770-540-0183. And then on the IQT side, which actually is kind of funny. It stands for Isabella Quinn Taylor. That's my kids. So that's how the IQT solution came about. I thought it was kind of cool because it's smart.
It is.
It is. Like IQ,
yeah, I was about to say,
IQ smart side. So I thought it was kind of funny. But that side, the phone number is still the same. And I'm just running through a Gmail account right now. It's TaylorJ1588@gmail.com.
Cool. Yeah, and I appreciate having you, and burn the ship, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.